Previously on In Each Retelling. So, Ellie, the question must be, what is your next wish?
You know, I was thinking about it, and there are lots of things that I could make you cover of varying degrees of insanity, but I think the best thing for us to cover right now was I'm going to finally force you to cover an anime on this show.
Ooh, okay.
We are going to be covering the 2022 anime Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury, which is a loose adaptation of Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Interesting. Man, what is with the Tempest in space? Oh, it's the colonial vibes and the strange new world vibes. Never mind. That was a stupid question.
But Ellie,
okay.
Why would you want us to cover that for Pride Month? Because it's gay.
Okay, but hey, you know what? I'm relatively new to anime, but this should be a good, fun time.
And the future you decide, the way you want to try, wherever you choose to stay or to go, together we'll be there.
Ellie, what the fuck?
Bosun! Here, master! What cheer? Don't speak to the mariners! Hold to it dearly, or we run ourselves aground! Bestir! Bestir! Aye, my hearts! Cheerly, cheerly, my hearts! Yare! Yare! Take in the topsail! Send to the mast like whistle! Blow till thou burst thy wind, if room enough! Good bosun, have care! Where's the master? Fly the men, I pray!
As you are now thinking of the stars, so remove your dozing off to be sleeping through with a thought. And the future you decide, the way you want to try, wherever you choose to stay or to go, together we'll be there.
Welcome to In Each Retelling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. I'm your host, Jasmine Garcia, and joining me today are...
Hi, I'm Addie GS, and if you move forward, you gain 1.
Wait, isn't it you gain 2?
Yeah, if you go
It is
back,
gain
you
2.
gain.
I never understood that quote. My God. All right, I'm offering you a tomato in these trying times.
Oh dear. And our wish guest of honor herself.
I'm Ellie McConaughey, and much like Soletta and Yarine's relationship, my participation is actually up to audience interpretation.
Oh.
No, it's not. Oh my God, no, it's not. Your participation and the Yuri is mandatory.
I'm just going to put that quote up on, any anime company. I'm going to put that on the wall so they understand. Yuri is mandatory.
And we are concluding our Pride Month celebration. We are running through the public domain with a pack of wild lesbians.
Let's go! Let's go, lesbians! Let's go!
Ellie, would you like to tell our dear listeners what you have chosen for your second wish?
Well, I'm cursed with insane desires to force Jasmine to cover, so I decided to go with one of the more sober ones, or at least one of the more sane ones, which is the 2022 anime Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, which is, as I think most people figured out, kind of a little bit sort of a sideways adaptation of The Tempest.
Yes, by William Shakespeare.
Greetings, I am AR-60, Star Wars Retelling Productions. Point of intersection found. This is a degree 4. Junya Enoki, Asami Seto, Lin, Akeno Watanabe, Tetsuo Kano, Taro Kiyuchi, Makoto Sahara, Hayato Kimura, and Takuya Makimura all had voice roles in Visions.
Weirdly enough, as much as we're all fans of Shakespeare on this podcast, I'm pretty sure we have not done nearly enough of his works on this, let alone The Tempest. This would be our first Tempest.
It's kind of an obvious swing.
And so, Miss Ellie, one has to ask, why Witch from Mercury, other than giving me something sane to do?
So Witch from Mercury was the first one of these that I watched. People actually didn't sell it. First one of these being Gundams, to be clear. I should probably stop and think before I speak. And so, people didn't actually sell it to me on the Tempest connection. I'm not that particular flavor of pretentious in most people's eyes. People mostly actually sold it to me as a sideways remake of Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is my favorite anime of all time. I'm not even going to mince words on that one. It's my favorite. And there is a lot of similarities. The sapphic arranged marriage via duel. In Utena, you have to win by cutting the rose off someone's chest, and this you have to shoot off their aerial. They go in very different directions, to be clear, but like the setup is very similar. And I recognized pretty quickly, like, okay, robot's named Ariel, the weirdo manipulative mom is named Prospera. Okay, I see what you're doing. I see where we're going with this. And I just really like Witch from Mercury. I think it's a really good anime. I think it's a really good introduction to Gundam. As I mentioned to the group before we started, since watching this, I have started slowly working my way through Iron-Blooded Orphans. That one's a rough watch, y'all. And, you know, Yuri anime was having kind of a moment in 2022, 2023. There was that. There was I'm in Love with a Villainess, Other Side Picnic, Magical Revolution, bunch of others. I'm not even going to all of them. So, like, I was really excited to, get Jasmine to give this one a shot, because I feel like, you know, anime is one of those things that has such a cultural reputation, not undeserved, that it's very hard to recommend someone something cold if they're not already interested in anime. So having this little in to get something I like in here was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into it further, but, you know, I am a relative neophyte of anime. I've seen an entirety of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and stuff, but yeah, so I was just like, oh, okay, this is something entirely new. And we'll get into my thoughts on it as we go further. But of course, now we must all discuss the source material. So what is everyone's connection to William Shakespeare's The Tempest?
The Tempest is like one of the plays that gets, of the ones that gets performed a lot, it is one of the ones that gets performed the least. Most of the time, what you get the opportunity to actually be involved in is your Mackers, your Hamlet, your Othello, like the, you know, big tragedies. And if they're going to do one of the comedies, it's usually like All's Well or Midsummer. Yeah. And so The Tempest to me is, there are a bunch of things about it that I really love. And one of it is the actual, like, the prevalence of magic in The Tempest is kind of different for most Shakespeare plays. And as a fan of whimsical, magical, alternate realities, I am the Alice of the group. But as a fan of that stuff, Tempest has always had a really, like, close place in my heart. And then I played Life is Strange and Before the Storm, and The Tempest became like a symbol of gay stuff for me.
Wait. Are you trying to tell me that video game counts for this podcast?
You could make
no. Yeah. So
I'm making
there's
the
a
argument.
play Before the Storm specifically. And there is a play within a play within Before the Storm that is The Tempest. And I think I would make the argument that there is a lot of, like, there's a purpose for putting it in there, which is that there's a lot of parallels to all of the characters and things. But they changed the ending of The Tempest and also the ending of the game. But yeah, I think it would match. I think that you could pitch that. I think that would count. But yeah, so The Tempest is something that, like, more in recent years than when I was younger, is just really, really cool. I just think it's neat.
I mean, going along with, like, not necessarily queer adaptations, but, like, my favorite adaptation of The Tempest, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I've read The Tempest, obviously. I am pretentious enough to read Shakespeare. But, you know, The Tempest isn't exactly a big one. And up until, I guess maybe 5 or 6 years ago, longer than that, like 10 years ago, my primary thought on it was that, like, isn't that the play that he's writing at the end of Shakespeare in Love out of fucking nowhere? I'm not going to make fun of Shakespeare in Love. I will one day, though. But
someday
I'll get there. I got very fond of Forbidden Planet because it's a great movie. 2, I really, really love Derek Jarman's 1979 adaptation of it, which is set entirely inside a country estate. It's a fascinating movie, and it really engages with the text in the way that I think that a lot of adaptations of it don't. Namely, at the end, Prospero doesn't give up his powers. And I kind of appreciate more than like the Julie Taymor adaptation, at least partially because that is a vent post of a movie. For reasons that Lady Emily goes into during her video on Spider-Man musical. In the context of what was going on in Julie Taymor's life, it's a fascinating movie. It's actually kind of dull on its own merits. So that's my relationship with The Tempest.
As for me, I also have read The Tempest before. I studied a lot of Shakespeare in college back when I was an English major, before I switched to education, regrettably. But in spite of the fact that on paper, this should be absolutely my shit, because you got magic, you got revenge quests, you've got the romance, and of course the very rich themes that people have been able to parse out about it, about like colonialism and things like that. And also just the fact that this was Shakespeare's final play. And it ends with the guy who kind of missed out on a lot of connections to his family he could have had in the pursuit of books and knowledge. Gee, you think maybe Shakespeare was thinking about some stuff near the end of his life? But in spite of all of that, it has never been a favorite of mine, and I have revisited it to prepare for this, as well as the episode of the fictional podcast. For those of you who don't know, fictional is by Jason Weiser and Carissa Weiser. They're a married couple. Basically, they take these really dense, older texts and translate them for a modern audience in a weird way. Much better than No Fear Shakespeare, I can tell you that. But yeah, even with revisiting that, I'm just like, this story has really good bones, but I feel like it's just kind of focusing on the wrong things about this premise, if that makes sense to anybody.
I think that that's sort of honestly, in my interpretation of Shakespeare, one of the reasons why I find adaptations of Shakespeare so valuable is I feel like they often end up focused in spots that aren't where I would take the story personally, because of Shakespeare's own artistic hang-ups, or just because of like the vibes at the time. People have been like going to bat for Lady Macbeth as a character basically since Macbeth was first created, and that's because there's a lot to her that doesn't really get explored in the play.
Sad but true. Yeah. Same with Ophelia, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, yeah, I think there could be a lot to Miranda. I mean, imagine if you found out one day that your wizard father was a duke and getting usurped by his own brother is why you've been living on this island your whole life. Or, hey, this guy who is in servitude of your father, it was implied to have tried to assault you at one point. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot more to Miranda than is on the paper, unfortunately.
Baby, Daddy needs to go murder all of his enemies. You're gonna help.
Like, right? That feels like something that could have been really good, but I don't know, like, just the play as it is, or even, like, I listened to the audio drama with Sir Ian McKellen as Prospero, and I was still kind of bored.
Part of what I think makes Witch from Mercury compelling as in Tempest adaptation, and audience, like, if you haven't seen this, it is an extraordinarily loose adaptation for a lot of reasons. But if we accept Suletta as our Miranda, which she is, she's also kind of Caliban, don't worry about it, it does actually delve into the emotion of being basically eventually being told by your parent, oh, by the way, I've been on a revenge kick. You were a tool in it. Sucks to suck, kiddo. Bye.
Yeah. Also, Ellie, we do have another connection to the Tempest that we have yet to bring up.
Oh, that's right. I did appear in an actual play where, we were all playing public domain characters. At one point, we did go to the island from the Tempest, but I did a really bad job in that, so I don't really like to think about it.
You did not do a bad job in it. Shut up.
Did too. Bye.
Dear listeners, we've talked about the Musica Universalis, the first one, on this podcast before. And yeah, I played the gingerbread witch, having been kind of magicked into Prospera's island, played by our dear friend Laura Crone.
And I lit you on fire.
You did light me on fire. Oh, and Addie, of course, you were there too. Duh. Addie as our Alice. I'm sorry. Time. I don't know why I didn't bring that up sooner.
I think on that island is where I rocked your whole
shit, yep.
Yeah, rocked it all the way down. I think I just trapped you in a glass. Then Ellie lit you on fire.
I lit the whole building on fire, to be clear.
Yes. You were collateral damage.
Justin as Jean Valjean said a prayer over me as I was singing.
It was a fun game.
Cursed to be a cannibal, so...
So it was a righteous bit of arson. We are off topic.
We are, but it was fun. Dear listeners, I'll admit I did not realize that the whole Gundam anime thing had such a huge fan base. I'll admit, as much of a nerd as I am, anime is a section of it I don't venture to very often, so I'm gonna let these lovely people talk about their connections to Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury.
I mean, I already said, I didn't really engage with Gundam until recently. I do think it's interesting as a re-engagement with Utna's concepts, although, again, it takes it in a very different place from Utna. I do want to be clear to you, since you apparently don't know, Gundam is a series that has been going since 79. So It's got
Holy
a
shit.
big fan base.
So it's very close to the Star War in more ways than one. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fandom for Gundam is, I think, the most comparable is the fandom for Power Rangers. Both shows have been running for like 50 years and have had different properties and stuff for like the whole time, and just immensely cultural zeitgeist affecting.
So Ellie just sent a screenshot of the wiki page of just how much is in, like, the Gundam oeuvre, I guess. So is this
No.
all in the same universe, or what's going on here?
The answer is no, but actually yes, but actually no. Which for Mercury is an alternate universe. That dude with the funky sunglasses is never there.
Huh.
There is a mask in. So this was what I was talking about before we started recording, which was the moment that I started live tweeting essentially with another friend of mine while I was watching through this. I was going, "The woman in the mask is so sus," and I was talking about Prospera. And the thing is that the person I was talking to knew this, like, was actually a Gundam fan, and she's sitting there going, "Yeah, the person in the mask is untrustworthy."
I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be delving that much into this universe that much. I think I'm going to stick with my Iron Widow for my Gundam fix. Although it is kind of funny how this was when I read through the first two books of that series again. So I guess this is queer mecha summer for me.
Since we're having a queer mecha summer, I am legally required to bring up Year Breakers. It's a pretty good book. I think you would like it a lot. I think it has a lot of good points in comparison to another book we're going to be talking about soon.
Editor Jasmine here. Listen to our episode on the Grimrose Girls for more information.
I guess we should probably talk about the show at some point.
Dear listeners, one thing you need to understand about this show is the main thing I'm taking away from it is this is very good, but it's also a lot.
I think the best summary of the show's like tone I've ever seen is like these series of 3 posts on Tumblr. They're watching episode 0 for the first time, which shows got you in deep when they have an episode 0. And like the comments were like, they show baby Eric and like, "Oh, look at her, I love her, I would die for her. Where are you going, Oomphy?" Next post, "Oomphy is killing people."
God. Yeah, no, like, it is insane how much tragedy they pack into that pilot.
Poor Suletta, she goes through it.
Baby, I love her so much. I relate to her so much to the point where I kind of wanted to slap Miss Miorne a lot.
Miorne is also going through it, to be clear.
Absolutely, I understand that. Go ahead.
So a place where I want to start is one of the things that I think is the most like actually connecting piece between Witch from Mercury and Shakespeare in general, but the Tempest in particular, is the sort of fake outs on who's who. So it starts with introducing Addie, and then we see Suletta, and there's a little while where we're not sure that we're not aware that Addie is not Suletta, that they're not the same, that's a sister.
Yeah, no, I absolutely thought that Suletta was just grown-up Aerie with a new name.
You are clearly intended to.
When I was watching, I think one of the things that I found, they do it again. They do it a couple of times with a couple of different characters, and the bigger one is Ellen.
We got stuck with the wrong Ellen.
Seriously, the wrong Ellen died.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to focus in on like the confusions of who's who's who you know and who's who you don't. Like, who's someone else who just looks like the person you think you know.
Yeah. Probably a good idea because there's a lot there. So I'll be honest with you, dear listeners. I have the wiki page up because there are so many characters. It can be very difficult to keep track.
I mean, I love Shattuck.
Shattuck was an interesting character. So the problem that we're going to run into with this is like, so this is what, 25 episodes. For context, I mentioned Iron-Blooded Orphans. That has 50 episodes, and if I wanted to be mean, which I do, so I am, I could point out that there is something that's pretty atypical about this from other Gundam shows that might have led to its runtime being reduced. Second season in particular feels a little on the rushed side. As much as I love it, I feel like that's a pretty universal criticism. The 2 Psycho mobile suit pilots, who are very clearly intended to be foils for Miorine and Suletta, in more ways than one, basically don't do anything.
Yeah.
They get a big introduction at the end of the season, at the end of the first season, and then one of them eats shit very quickly, and the other one dies 2 episodes later after sitting in a room for the rest of her screen time.
Yeah, It does kind of feel like a lot of these characters were kind of just there for one particular thing, and then when they show up in the finale again, you kind of have to remind yourself, okay, which one are you again?
Who is this? Yeah.
Like, whatever the people say, that's one of those things that I feel like if it is true, no one's going to say, because it's bad for your career to be like, yeah, they fucked us because we got the lesbians. Short runtime, everybody. The point that I'm making is that, like, I feel like a lot of characters, you would remember them a lot more if the show had more time to breathe.
Yes.
You know,
this is going at a breakneck pace, really.
I reference Utena as my comparison point because that's a show it has a lot in common with. And that show has just as large a cast, if not larger, but I still remember every single one of those people because Utena had to fight their insecurities at one point. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man. But anyway, so basically we start with episode 0, and basically we've got this married couple with their little kid, Eric, and they're trying to, quote-unquote, wake up this Gundam they've created. Should we explain what a Gundam is for anyone in the audience who's not familiar with this genre?
Big robot, you pilot.
Big robot.
Yeah,
Gundam,
big robot.
Yeah, the opening of the first episode, which is episode 0, I was going to say the government decides they're racist against people from Earth in this show.
Given the modern world we live in, where all of the billionaires are trying to get off Earth so that they can wreck it for us, I think this is the more likely future.
It's an interesting concept because, like, the point I was going to make is, like, it is the space government, but it's also just like corporations. There's very little actual government. They're just corporations.
Gee, don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's tiring. I'm tired thinking about that. I want to die. Back on topic. So,
yes.
So like, they decide we're going to outlaw Gundams. Oh, those people over there are working on Gundams. Let's go shoot them. And then they do. As I said, the time from start of show to a 6-year-old committing a war crime is 18 minutes.
But it's funny to me, though, because I'm sitting there going, like, they have all of these other robot weapons and things, and many of them just as devastating, just a little bit slower. And the only reason they seem to... This is something that I think has never been done ever, that a weapon has been banned because it kills its wielder, but not because it's particularly different than all of the other things that they literally have a school to train pilots to use these weapons, that just because they don't, dive into your brain and kill you is the only reason why those ones are so totally allowed. It's only a war crime if they do it.
And then that's why it's totally cool to kill the people making them. That makes sense.
You can't do that, it'll kill you. If you do that, I will kill you.
I mean, let's be real. If corporations could just straight murder us, they would. How's that whistleblower from Boeing doing? So they murder a bunch of people, including Elnora. Samaya, is she going to sing a really sweet and incredibly depressing song? Ba-da-da-da-da-da. No one got that reference.
I did not. I was just playing along.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, that does actually kind of go to show how much deadlier the Gundam is. They put a 6-year-old in the cockpit, and she fucking murders 10 people.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea. Talk about giving a toddler a gun.
And then the show flashes forward 20 years to when Eric is 18. Don't worry about it. And now named Suletta and being sent to space college to learn to pilot, which she already knows.
A little autistic baby.
We love
her
Suletta
so much.
And, she accidentally foils a mean white-haired girl's attempt to escape to Earth. Middle. She ends up beating this girl's shit-ass fiancé in a duel and is engaged to her. That, since it's an engagement based on convenience and coincidence, we know that they'll definitely not fall in love for real.
Of course. Why would they do that?
It definitely won't be super gay. I do want to note to the audience, because it's very important for my own edification, that I find it extremely funny every time I rewatch the show when at the end of the first episode, Suletta wins the duel and Miorne is like, okay, we're engaged now, babe. Suletta's like, but I'm a woman too, even though I'm the pilot. And Miorne basically looks straight at the camera and goes, wow, you live in a place that doesn't have gay marriage? It must be backwards and stupid.
Happy Pride Month, gang!
For the record, audience, Japan does not have gay marriage. Is there any way I can, audibly sum up the picture of that guy pulling his face off? That's how I feel in response to that.
God. But, yeah, and in fairness, this is an interesting twist of the insta-love that's in the Tempest, really, because Miranda and Prince Ferdinand basically meet and are immediately in love, And then Prospero proceeds to basically enslave him. Prospero's nuts. Prospera's nuts.
I will say that my reaction to it was very much just an I read romantasy bullshit and arranged like contests for like this is age old like tales about like, you know, you have to compete this contest and then you'll have my hand, like all of that stuff. It's bad for me, but I like it so much.
I'm with you, Addie.
So like this is one of those things where I'm going to be a little bit touchy because it's a conversation that I have about a lot of stuff. In the context, in real world history, the whole like compete to win someone's hand was garbage. We can all agree that it was garbage.
Yes, absolutely.
That having been said, it can in fact be extraordinarily romantic in a well-written piece of fiction. You know, there are a handful of examples that I always go back to, but like the end result is that, except for the lightest, least stake-filled rom-com ever made, I don't think that I would ever want to live in any of the things I find romantic. Even basic rom-coms tend to have a level of emotionality that I just don't want to fucking deal with in real life.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. It's almost like fiction is supposed to be a safe space for this kind of shit.
Precisely. And like you know, one of the things that I really liked about this particular story is like, so Suletta isn't like abused physically, but like the long arc of the show is coming to understand, oh, this relationship she has with her mom is fucked. This is fucked up.
This relationship she has with her mom, with the Gundam, with like everything. She's been so sheltered.
This is so toxic and codependent.
Yeah, everything is a mess. Like she doesn't think about things the way she's meant to. And I think that the big scene where Miorine finds that out, that like, oh shit, my girlfriend is not normal, is the bloody hand.
The tomato sauce scene.
Yeah, the tomato sauce.
God.
She makes tomato sauce with her bare hands.
That is what Witch from Mercury did to Supernatural on Tumblr. Bam! I will not explain that reference, audience. Go Google it.
And you know, the fact that this is what she grew up with does make sense then why when Miorine is so mean to her, she just kind of takes it. Which did annoy me for a lot of the show. I understand where you're coming from, Miss Miorine, but you are rich enough to go to therapy.
Like, this is maybe a little overly revealing of me, but I often really vibe with stories about someone having to learn to navigate a relationship with someone who has been abused or sheltered or neglected in some way that has damaged them and made it difficult for them to have a proper relationship. And like, I saw a movie at TIFF over this last week about that, and like the moments where that character is like peacocking because they think the relationship is collapsing and they're desperate to hold on to it to like keep them happy. You know, that's the sort of shit that I like out of this. And I think Witch from Mercury does a surprisingly deft job at letting us see Suletta just utterly not know how to deal with certain things because of the specific kinds of neglect she's endured. It's why I think the scene in front of the window is so fucking romantic, because there is a moment where like Miorine is like, I need to communicate this clearly to her. I need her to know I like her.
I promise I'm not mean because I don't like you.
I'm just tsundere. There's nothing more that I want, audience, than for people to be in the comments right now debating the proper pronunciation of that word. There's nothing I want more in the world.
So go in the comments, people. Up my engagement this way.
I will say that I also have like an affinity for characters who burn the candle at both ends to try and be everything for everybody.
Gee, Addie, why is that?
Man, Addie and I are both getting way too revealing on this episode. I'm leaving.
Hush. I'm not talking about myself. What are you talking about? This is not a thing that...
Hey, Addie, could you take on 300 more projects for me?
Yes. Sure thing, boss.
Yeah, I totally don't relate to Suletta's desperate need to be liked. God, my baby.
Anytime, babe.
Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe we all need therapy.
I don't need therapy, I just need podcasts.
I have a therapist. She doesn't know what to do with me. Also on therapy, but also on the media that I read and the tropes of the romantic tropes of the media that I consume. My Goodreads is between myself, my therapist, my God, and the public internet.
I've already revealed way too much about myself as a person. Addie, there is a reason why what I read is my business. I don't have a good reason. I literally never will, and you can't make me.
I just do storygraph because I like the pretty graphs. But anywho's, yes, basically, arranged marriage via Gundam fight. Well, via mecha fight. Only Soletta has the Gundam. There's a lot going on here, folks.
No, she doesn't. It's just a normal mecha. What are you fucking talking about? It's definitely not a Gundam.
Yeah, so the dimension. Soletta has no idea it's a Gundam.
I think one of my favorite things about this is that the school doesn't seem to care whether your matches are actually in the Gundams or not, because there is the fencing duel.
So you're right that the school doesn't seem to care. My impression of that scene, and I have gotten some pushback from this interpretation, is that Ghoul basically just, like, lets her win because, like, I don't want to be that gal, but if my fiance, who explicitly decided to marry me to protect someone else, was spending her time before meetings dejectedly watching old commercials starring that girl, I wouldn't want to marry her either.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for both of you to be miserable all the time.
Yeah, in real life, yes. Please do not marry somebody who yells at you all the time. Please.
Ghoul has one of the more interesting character arcs in the show, TBH.
No, I'm fascinated by him.
He's very much the third protagonist. He's
100%.
So much of the Earth side of things is defined by what he goes through in the back half of the first season and through the second season. Like, to me, there are like only a handful of characters in this that I really care about. Like, earlier you brought up Shattuck and I was like, yeah, him I know. And then you brought up somebody else. Oh, the head of Earth House. And I'm like, I don't even remember his name. Like, he just wasn't one of the important ones to me.
Yeah, no.
I liked Choo-Choo a lot. I wish he got more screen time.
Yeah, no, listen, we love an angry little gal.
I like how the first real time we get to know her as a person, she just walks up and punches a girl in the face. Face of her.
Listen, I think we've all had that moment, right? Honestly, what I really want us to focus on is Prospera, Soletta, and Mjorne, since they're kind of the ones that are closest to characters that really parallel the reason we're talking about this, the Tempest connections.
Mm-hmm.
And also the horrors of war that is soaked into this. I did not realize this in the first season, and I paid for it.
If Iron-Blooded Orphans is any indication, the horrors of war is the main thing Gundam is interested in.
Yeah, like, thing about this show is that for, like, the first half, it's kind of just fun little quirky school adventure stuff with some mecha fights. And then it takes a sharp turn into, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. It goes places. It gets a little dark.
Real dark. Which, you know, Prosper's responsible for a lot of the horrors of this show. Like, and that's kind of what I wanted out of the Tempest. In terms of Prospero's revenge quest.
I mean, so the thing about Prospero's revenge quest in the show is that I feel like it kind of broadly just, like, completely fails.
Oh, 100% it fails, but it caused a lot of problems.
It did. It caused a lot of problems for everybody all the time, frankly, including her. I do like that the primary way that Mjorne basically gets her to knock it off is like, look, I'm marrying your daughter. Knock it off.
We're gonna be family. We're gonna have to figure this out.
She also just, like, this is a consequence of the epilogue being just 3 minutes at the very end. She also kind of gets away without any consequences for all the shit she did. The fucking terrorist attack.
I mean, she's paralyzed for life. I feel like they're just like, yeah, what the fuck else is she gonna do?
I'm not saying that I wanted her to, like, go to the Gundamberg trials. But, sorry, I think I'm funny sometimes.
Think nothing. You are funny. Shut up.
I did kind of want to see, like, I don't know, like, I wanted more of the final third. I wanted to see the wedding, damn it.
God, yeah, we deserve to see that wedding so nobody could... Dear listeners, apparently people are trying to deny that Mjorne and Soletta are married in the end. What? Way you fix that is by showing us the wedding.
They did. They released some official art.
Good. Love that.
So the things that I wanted to say, because we started off with, or rather, a moment ago, Jazz was saying that we should be focusing on Soletta, Mjorne, and Prospera.
I mean, we can talk about other things, to be clear.
I don't think that's where it stops. So Ceres is a character in the Tempest, one of the spirits summoned by Prospero. So all of the Elans are the series, or are rather spirits summoned by, but like, I think that Prospera isn't Prospero. Prospera is sort of a representative of, like, none of these are one-to-one, I think. And so all of the different companies in play are different portions of the spirits that get summoned to be players on the stage, right? And so you have Prospera as one of the players, and she brings her Miranda / Caliban there. Although I think, actually, I feel like Suletta is Miranda and Caliban is Aerie, but I could be argued the other way on
I
that.
can definitely see that argument. Although, at least Caliban, without the kind of uglier aspects of his characterization in the original play, if you just go with, yeah, he's being essentially tortured on a regular basis.
Right.
So, like, the problem with this is that none of these characters are one-to-one. They are drawing
exactly
thematically on the ideas attached to them, but they are also being completely altered, split apart, put together as the creators please.
But I really think that Ghoul has a pretty, like, you could say that there's a lot of Ferdinand in Ghoul, in that, like, his starting point is confident naivete, right? He doesn't know what he's fucking talking about.
And also, he's one of many people who tries to pursue Suletta.
Yeah, true.
Suletta gets all of the boys and one particular girl.
He's also, like, he's genuinely just, like, what would be a decent person without the influence of the Jeturk, the expectations on him, which I think is very Tempest, very, like, I would say that Suletta, Murine are the ones that, like, you can't make this work without them. Everyone else kind of drops in as a little player in a small place, and then you have the power players that run those spirits, those characters' lives, before they all crash into each other. But those are the four, like, that's where you need to be looking. It's what's behind them and what they do with it that makes this whole system work. And so I just think setting aside those Ghoul and Ilan would be taking apart the comparison to the Tempest in a big way.
That's a really fair point. I genuinely didn't think of that. I mean, I liked both of those characters a lot. Ilan for more than his original counterparts, though. Again, the wrong one died.
The wrong kid died.
Yeah, well, okay. So 4 is great, and the original writing a letter at the end that is basically just, if it sucks, hit the bricks. I just king shit.
I did love in the epilogue the second or third Elon clone just, like, trying to go find the spot that what's-her-name, Sophie, drew in her diary. Like, fuck this, I can't find it. She didn't write down where it was.
We should probably explain Ilan and Gwel's whole deals. We are not making any sense to people who are new to this.
Gwel is, and I'm going to be speaking very broadly here, the rich daddy's boy heir to a major company who is, at the start of the series, Yorine's abusive fiancé. Suletta beats his ass twice, and he basically gets sent to Earth to watch children die in a war crime and go through a character arc because of it. Aside from that, like, he also gets roped into Yorine, like, betraying Suletta to try to save Suletta, which is the part that everyone always freaks out during. Elon is a bunch of clones.
So Elon is complicated. So the original Elon is a person who we don't meet until, like, the halfway through the first season. I'm not even sure if it's that early. The original Elon is selected to be the next CEO of Pale Technologies. They're fucking around with Gundams, and Gundams kill their pilots. So in order to let him actually use a Gundam, they make these enhanced person clones. And the first one that we meet is number 4 of those. I think he dies in the first fight that he gets into.
No,
Is that right?
He loses the fight to Suletta, and as a result, they're just like, well, this
right,
clone
he's destroyed.
He gets basically executed while he's singing happy birthday to himself.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
which was a running conversation between him and Soletta because he didn't remember his birthday until literally right before he dies. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, that's right. They just throw him away. And then number 5 shows up and Soletta is like, hey, you seemed like a really cool person. And he's like, yes, correct. Who are you?
And they are like 20 minutes away from just doing the plot of Mickey 17 in the background of this show.
Oh God, you're right.
I'm a big fan of the Elans. Part of it is because the number of characters, OCs that I have made that are robots who use numbers as their names, it's more than one, which is weird.
Robots with feelings.
But yeah, so Elan, I think I have a fascination because even though we don't know the original that well, but we get to know 4 and 5 somewhat well, I would say, because 4 we get a pretty deep introduction really, really quick, and then 5 spends the first part of his time present pretending to be 4, trying to like figure out what the fuck did previous me do, and how do I make sure that nobody notices that there was a transition here, that there was that I replaced my predecessor. And I find that story like really, really fun. It doesn't really have much to do with the Tempest, but I just really like it.
I ended up really loving Elan because, again, I'm big on robot/cyborg/androids with feelings.
Yeah. How do you feel about being replaceable, like a fundamentally disposable utility for some jackass that you haven't even met, but who shares your face and name?
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. And also because Suletta really cared about him.
I mean, it's also like, I made a Mickey 17 reference a minute ago, and I said this in my review.
It's accurate.
Of Mickey 17. Like, one of the things that always strikes me whenever they do a man's inhumanity to man's sci-fi allegory with, like, aliens is, like, we don't gotta go that far to find... They don't need to be... The natives don't need to be 8-foot-tall blue cat people for us to treat them like shit. They can just be people, and we will do that just fine. And so, like, I always get really interested when the sci-fi allegory is less used to other the creature, to other the person being abused, and more to express the emotional state of being under that kind of abuse, as in Mickey 17 and as in here.
Yeah, a lot of this is just the inherent corruption of capitalistic bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the time when people do the character that has, you know, replicants of themselves, it's actually kind of fundamentally an allegory for the way that, in this case, it's literally corporations view people as replaceable resources.
Mm-hmm.
This particular person, it's the name that matters. It isn't the person that matters.
Mm-hmm. And they exist to make things easier for the rich guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of us can maybe empathize with that somewhat.
Yeah, and honestly, when you think about it, pretty much all the major characters are just kind of tools for some capitalist who just sees them as tools. Like, again, got Soletta and Prospera. We got Mjorne with her father. Even if things are a little more complicated in their relationship, she definitely feels like she's just a tool for him. And of course, you got Goel and his complicated relationship with his own father. The capitalism issues are also the mommy and daddy issues, unfortunately.
I think in some ways it is very, very normal that a piece of queer media is also a piece of media about daddy issues.
Yeah!
Yep.
We got daddy issues, chaos junkie. Mommy issues, more daddy issues, obnoxious asshole issues.
And then some racism.
And you? Actually, I don't know. Who's the weirdly self-actualized one?
I think Eric is actually our weirdly self-actualized character.
That's so fucked up.
Either that or the 2 psycho Gundam pilots.
That'd be even more fucked up.
They are very self-actualized. They like killing people and each other.
I don't know that I would think of Eri as self-actualized.
I think Eri is also a tool for their mom.
She's basically devoted her entire life to her sister in a way that...
Oh my god, this is just my sister's keeper.
Yeah, there isn't any real person... Like, there's no room for Eri to be her own person. And even when they put her in a doll at the end, like, that's cool, but She goes where you go, forever.
She's hanging from your wallet in the side of the room when you're fucking.
I hope not.
Little voice, please put me in the living room.
I mean, like, Eric is one of those things the show doesn't super explain, as are the other Suletta / Eric clones that sort of show up very briefly a couple of times, but pilot the other attachments.
Gunned bits.
Eric's a character they don't really explain super well, but also, like, at the end where she goes into the keychain, they don't need to explain that. It's fine.
She was a Gundam for God knows how long. It's not that weird.
I think they said that there were multiple clones made, and I don't remember whether Suletta is a clone or not.
She is.
So they're all clones of Eri, and they were all made because they can withstand extremely high permit levels with the Gundam.
Yeah.
And just mom spent all of that time feeding the babies to the monster just over and over and over again. And now there's a small fleet of Aries in that weird cyberspace kind of, I don't know, Gundam theoretical space where they float around and giggle at each other ominously. Which, honestly, mood. If I could be an extra sensory creature that just giggles ominously, I think that would be nice sometimes.
I mean, let's be clear. The premise that Suletta is piloting a golem made primarily of the spirits of her dead sisters is so dark that the show can't really dwell on it super long before turning into a horror show.
But I can.
It is a horror show.
While it is a horror show, it's intended to go more come and see than, like, Evil Dead.
Like, dear listeners, this was the moment where I finally indulged in a bit that our friend Sam kind of invented on their podcast, known simply as Ellie, what the fuck?
Ellie, what the fuck? Yes.
This is what finally got me.
This one didn't deserve it. I feel like this one is so tame. I don't think Ellie will ever get a what the fuck from me, though.
If I wanted to, I could get you.
Listen. It's just the mere concept that all of these clone spirits of this little child that we met in the prologue are haunting this Gundam, and Suletta has no idea. That is some emotionally disturbing shit. I'm sorry.
It was.
The Gundam is haunted.
The Gundam is haunted. They haunted that robot.
Yep.
Robot's haunted.
Yep. Moon's haunted.
That's what got
There's
me.
a lot of stuff in this where I kind of just sort of had to go, okay, some of the shit is just magic, and I have to pretend that it makes sense to me. Yeah, like, I don't have to understand why...
They use the Force.
Yeah, it's the Force.
That's not how the Force works.
My impression of Gundam as a series, and I'm not an expert, obviously, is that its concept of hard science is very, very loose. I do know that people are, like, dropping asteroids and continents on other people in this show at points. So, like, you know, if it just has to feel right. And I feel like it never breaks its own verisimilitude in this context, which is fine, you know.
So I kind of feel I am usually very open to magic not making sense. But I think there was some part of me that, like, starting up, you've got all of this very clean, machined, like, this is a universe that feels like it has a very hard sci-fi look and feel with very soft sci-fi backbone. And that was what I wasn't prepared for. And so, like, there's a certain amount of me that was just like, I'm primed by the visuals to expect that there was going to be at least some technobabble to explain what's happening, that I could piece together, like, oh, this functions like this, and then I can guess how that's going to work elsewhere. And this show had a lot of stuff where something would happen and I would go, oh, I guess Gundams do that now. Over and over and over again. And I think it's probably the weakest part of the show.
In fairness, the word witch is in the title.
It's true, but also, I don't know. I don't know why I was expecting it to be a little bit harder sci-fi. But really what it came down to for me is, like, the ending with the machine that was going to expand consciousness to the entire I don't know what the threat was. I don't understand.
Someone who knows this franchise more, please. There's a lot going on here, gang.
What was the tool supposed to do? What does it mean when you reach 0 or whatever it was? Like, what does that do to the universe? Why is it scary?
I get that it's scary because, Prospera's kind of insane, so I don't really trust any plan she has, but...
I think that was this is also, again, me coming from a position of, I'm not a Gundam fan. I'm not a Giant Robots fan, generally. And so I was watching for the characters and for their interactions with each other. And as long as that stuff made sense, the rest of it I could set aside. But for me, the weakest part of it was the part of it that makes it Mobile Suit Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
And that's maybe unfortunate. Maybe I'm not loving the thing the way that people who love it. And that's something that I try to do with media, is when I'm watching it, if there's someone out there who loves it, I want to try and see it through their eyes so that I can love it with them.
Addie, you're such a sweetheart.
That's what I'd like to do with things. But this was, I think, a challenge for me on that.
I mean, my impression was, from speaking to other people, is that this was an entry point to Gundam for a lot of people. And the people who wanted it to be more like another Gundam were generally a lot more critical than the people who were like, oh, I'm watching because these characters are engaging and the story is interesting. So, like, maybe it's weaker on that angle. I can't engage with that angle. And also, like, I don't know. Y'all know how I engage with media. If I vibe with it, I vibe with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely vibe with it. For sure.
No, absolutely. Like, again, I was super into it because there's some really cool space battles here. The characters are really engaging, even if there's probably too many to really feel like you're getting to know them all. Mm-hmm. And there's some really good thematic elements to it. Again, it's about the horrors of war. It's about how the capitalists are going to be ruining everybody's lives and just uses us as tools for their own gain. And, how damaged people still can learn how to connect with each other. And we haven't even gotten into Soletta's main philosophy throughout the show, where it's just like, as long as you keep moving forward, you'll always gain something, even if you fail.
Which, I mean, she explicitly says that that's a hard philosophy to maintain. During your conversation with Miorine, she specifically says, like, that's hard. It is hard to never want to stop or fall back.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I feel like a lot of the story is about the fallout of that ideology. Because, like, Prospera just keeps moving forward. Regardless of how many kids she's fed into the kid-killing machine, she just keeps moving forward.
They said not to invent the Torment Nexus.
Yeah.
But the Torment Nexus powers the war crimes machine. How am I going to do the war crimes without the Torment Nexus?
The answer is don't, honey. The answer is don't. But yeah, she's so blinded by her desire for her understandable desire for revenge. I mean, she lost everything in the prologue, then basically lost her child, even if she did end up being able to kind of upload her consciousness into the Gundam. In all the ways that matter, she did lose her.
I think she lost herself, though, more than anything else, because she lost her husband and she sort of lost her child, but Eri going into the machine wasn't the thing that actually lost Eri for her.
Yeah.
The thing that lost Eri for her was viewing Eri in the machine as a tool to avenge Eri.
That's the origin of sin. Thinking of people as things. Man. And again, like, that's probably the strongest connection to its source material, because, again, the main thesis of the Tempest is that Prospero was so hung up on the things that would gain him power, he lost sight of what was really important. And that's why it's supposed to be a happy ending, that he gives up on magic.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether that lands for you, your mileage may vary.
And that's why I find the Derek Jarman adaptation where he doesn't so compelling, because, like, no matter what people originally accumulated power for, what goal, moral or immoral, they accumulated it for, I find that people very rarely are willing to give up power once obtained.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why people are like, such and such a thing will happen in this or that country, and then the military will come and take this, like, fascist dictator out. And I'm always sitting there going, like, man, every time that happens, the military guy is always left standing there in the president's or the king or the Oval Office or whatever going, like, hey, I've got all these troops. Why aren't I in charge? And I do like that Prospera doesn't decide to give up on her revenge scheme because she learns that it's wrong. She gives up because Eric is no longer willing to go along with it for her, and Mjolnir is invoking daughter-in-law power.
Yeah.
It's no longer tenable to go forward.
At least not on that path.
Mm-hmm. And I hope she's cool moving to a farm upstate.
No, literally, listeners, that's not a euphemism.
One thing I did want to mention is, they establish early on that, piloting the Caliban the way Suletta has to in the finale is, gonna fuck her up. They drop that information early. Part of that's just, storytelling. We're gonna go ahead and throw some stakes on the Barbie. But I like that they actually, in the final scene, she has to go through rehab. They don't just, drop it. There were consequences for what she did. I like that.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, we didn't really talk about this. Suletta being able to pilot, Eri should not have been able to happen without killing her, because, like we said, the Gundams do inherently kill you. But because her sister had basically possessed it, it hadn't been up until the ending when, of course, Eri had kind of fucked off, continue helping their mom.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I have an alternate explanation, which is that lesbians can do anything for their girlfriend.
Correct.
That is very true.
Gay love can pierce through the veil of death and save the day.
Okay, let's talk about the punch heard round the universe.
Yes, God.
Choo Choo is the best character in the whole show. I'm sorry. It's just maybe my favorite scene.
It is one of the best.
Just no. You know what? No, fuck you in particular. And I'm here for it because it's so rare in things where somebody is just willing to be like, no, that was bullshit. What you did was bullshit. And I'm going to make sure you know it. In your face. In your face bones. It's so satisfying.
It's a really good edit, too. The punch edit is really solid.
Yeah.
Also, how does she fit all her fucking hair into that head wrap when she's piloting? Where does it go?
Yeah. I assume that it's like mine where it's floofy curly, and so if I don't have it tied up, it is a 7-inch out halo around my head that is just a nightmare. But when I tie it back, it's actually just above my shoulder, and it's not a big deal at all.
Starting to remember that I don't actually, as all of the people I date right now have told me at various points, listen, Ellie, I know that you know how your hair works, but Ellie, you have the whitest hair imaginable. So maybe I don't actually understand how you could fit in.
Choo Choo's hair is cotton candy, so she probably just dropped some water on it so that it just...
Jesus Christ.
In the context of the Tempest, what the fuck is Quiet Zero?
It's a Metal Gear Solid ass name is my assessment.
True. Very true.
Point is, it's supposed to be scary.
It is scary, but I don't know why.
But you know what? Maybe that's part of the beauty of it. Aren't the things that are scariest the ones that we can't explain?
I think that in the context of the actual show, it was a big gun that was going to shoot a big laser and kill big, I don't know, blow up the space corporations.
Blow up the tri-state area? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the thing that is it just the defense of that station that needed Gundam interaction? Needed the permit, whatever?
Yeah, Quiet Zero's whole shtick was it was going to hack everything, and because it was a gun, it could resist the hacking, hence why they needed to send in Suletta.
Oh, right. Okay, got it.
We probably should also talk a little bit more about how Suletta and Mjolnir's relationship develops before we end it, though.
Gaily.
Well, yes, obviously. Very gaily. Indisputably gaily, I don't care what anyone says.
Maybe it's just because I vibe with the drama of it. But, I know a lot of people were extremely upset when, middle of season 2, Mjolnir pulls a break her heart to save her to try to get Suletta out from under her mom's control and basically, sabotages her duel. Though that did lead to my favorite recurring joke on Tumblr about this show when it was airing week to week, which is, when the show was getting absolutely devastating, everyone would post at the end of the episode, why don't you just listen to Red Birthmark and maybe you'll calm down?
Yeah, we start with basically the arranged marriage by duel, but then Mjorne kind of emotionally abuses Soletta a lot, which is especially devastating for poor Soletta because Soletta does not know how to people, so she doesn't recognize that she's just like that. She's not actually trying to be a bitch.
She is just like that, but it's also like, I think one of the things the show does extremely well is like, yeah, Mjorne is just like that, but also everyone, including both the other characters and the audience, can go like, no, Mjorne is actually catching feelings. They've been together for 4 episodes before she basically like is willing to beg her father, who she hates with all of her heart, for something to try to make Suletta happy.
Yeah, no, it's just Mjorne has many feelings for Soletta. She's just very bad at expressing them until she literally chases her down a hallway and just throws her arms around her, begging her to understand, basically.
Because of you that I'm strong enough to stay and face things head on. That's why. Stop running away from me. If you have something to say, then say it. Annoy me like you always do and move forward.
It is so good. That is also an excellent gift that I hold in my pocket to send to girlfriends when they need reassurance.
Is there a form I can fill out, or?
Yes, actually. I'll have the papers on your desk. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
How many times are y'all gonna get this flirty around me?
More.
It's very cute.
Miss Jazz, as always.
As always.
Yeah, then she does the Moulin Rouge Spider-Man Twilight bullshit.
So I actually usually kind of hate that trope. It's often a very exhausting trope. I think that Mjorne's version of it makes a reasonable amount of sense in the context.
Oh, it makes sense.
But
it's just heartbreaking.
It is an extremely heartbreaking scene, not least because both in English and in Japanese, man, Suletta's voice actress fucking sells it. I mentioned the Utena comparison. Anthe full-on stabs Utena in the back at one point, so I was like prepped for something like this to happen.
Oh, yikes.
My point is that, like, I think the thing that really sold this version of it to me is usually, and Twilight's a really good comparison, usually it focuses on the person whose heart is being broken to save them, whereas we get enough time with Mjorne. She fucking hates doing this. She fucking hates it. She is miserable the entire time.
The show does not try to make it seem like, oh no, it's for real this time, we swear. And in fairness, that's kind of what Moulin Rouge does.
Yeah, but Suletta and Mjorne don't do the can-can, so...
Very true. Should they do the can-can? I don't know.
So I think that the thing that makes it work for me here is that in a lot of the cases, you have a character who is being protected in a way that they would not choose to be protected. And there's not really much reason to believe that, like, they necessarily need that protection. But Suletta is so bad at protecting herself. She is so bad at figuring out where her limits are. She is so bad at figuring out how to say no. She is so bad at all of the essential pieces of consent that it really worked for me to have Mjorne basically say, I can't emphasize enough that you should actually worry about yourself ever. And so I think I need to make you stop worrying about me so that there's any room for it. And that hits harder, I think, because it's just, to me, there is like something very, very important about, like, Suletta is not the kind of character who knows to secure their own mask before helping others. She will just die and not think twice about it for the people that she cares about. And those people don't necessarily want her to sacrifice herself.
In fact, they constantly say, hey, you can slow down, it's okay. And earlier on, when we first see that she's so desperate to be useful. Gee, I wonder why I attached myself to her so much.
And that goes back to what I was saying about Suletta as, like, an abused or neglected person. Like, she just...
100%.
She does not value herself on her own. I think that the reason the romance works is because it becomes extremely clear extremely quickly that Mjorne does value Suletta the person, not Suletta the Gundam pilot.
No matter how much she tries to make it seem like otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to the Tempest thing, it is kind of cool to see Miranda that where they kind of take, okay, so basically your parent is solely focused on revenge and is totally fine with fucking you up a little bit in order to get that revenge. Let's take that to its natural conclusion.
Mhm.
And what I really like about her arc with Mjolnir is that by the end, they've kind of switched in a way, because Soletta's kind of started to figure out, it's like, okay, no, I don't have to go with everything my mother says. And in fact, I need to stop her for all of our sakes. And Mjolnir is the one who's blaming herself for how bad things have gotten.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be learned there too, where Mjolnir kind of takes on the responsibilities as they come of like, if something has gone wrong, I don't care what else happened, it's my fault. I should have done something. I should have changed the equation somehow. And that's also an awful philosophy to live by.
It's so real,
because it's sort of this expectation of oneself that you be God. Like, you know, you hear the people crying out in prayer and your solution is to hurry up and become God to fix it. And it's like, that's also not super reasonable. But yeah, I you know, trauma lesbians is a big thing for me. I'm super stoked about it. So this turn worked for me really, really well.
No,
I don't
absolutely.
always love, like when you brought up Spider-Man, I can't tell anyone because it'll put them in danger. That thing always bothers me because the people who have the ability to do anything about their own lives, they need knowledge so that they can make decisions.
Absolutely.
And if you withhold knowledge from them, they are going to get themselves into trouble and they won't know why, and that will be your fault.
Could I get a spin-off about the two psycho witches?
My God, yes!
As much as I understand what they are here in this show to do, I want the psycho murder lesbians in mobile suits show. Yes, they are a lesbian couple. No, I will not explain. It was revealed to me in a dream.
Give me 20 minutes of Sophie doing just insane faces, and I will be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot with them, and it's just like, it was so much, and I was just like, okay, but why?
I think that they were at some point intended to become kind of a parallel to Suletta and Mjolnir. Especially given how much Sophie is the one who lives longer, as I recall.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like really parasocial with Suletta.
Really parasocial with Suletta, but also like without Noria, she just completely collapses. Like she cannot fucking function without her girlfriend. And like I think that's supposed to be kind of the parallel where like both Suletta and Mjolnir have to learn to live on their own before they can be together again. The show kind of didn't have time to do either of those plot lines very well. So
do you think that they're essentially the show's Stefano and Trinculo?
Basically, yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
In Tempest, there's a drunken butler and a jester, and they're like the comic foil.
That's right, yeah. That's like my least favorite part of it.
Oh, yeah, of course. They're a much better version.
Again, lesbians are usually better than most other things.
I like Love Lies Bleeding. I liked Killing Eve until the last, 5 episodes. I'm a huge fan of murder lesbians. God forbid women have any hobbies.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So, I mean, honestly, we've talked very minimally about the Tempest, but at the end of the day, yes, the roots of this insane show are in the Tempest. So why does the Tempest endure?
That this story is within the intersection of stories that are a liminal space of magic and reality. And heightened reality is something that Shakespeare does all the time. But the Tempest and Midsummer are the most... There is clearly magic at work. And Tempest is far more pensive about the way that it uses magic to drive people forward and move them around. Because there's sort of a consequence to the ways in which they call spirits, the ways in which they use people. And I think that is something that is always going to resonate as long as there are systems of power, I think.
I think that Addie hit it right on the nose. There are works of Shakespeare that I wonder... just how much they'd be actually as remembered as they are if they weren't Shakespeare. The Tempest is, I think Addie at the beginning said it's of the Shakespeare plays that you actually still see regularly, it's the one you see the least. I think it's one of his less fleshed out ones. I like a lot of the ideas and I don't feel like it goes too far, and that might be why it endures, because like in the same way that like people want to find a new angle on Titus Andromachus, the lesser Shakespeare plays are almost a little more freeing because you want to find a new angle to attack them from, and you feel less constrained because if you're gonna fuck with Macbeth or with Hamlet, you gotta have a good fucking reason. Those things are classics. If you're gonna fuck with the Tempest,
Yeah.
I think that's also something that happens a lot more with the Tempest, where you have like things that are inspired by, as opposed to this is the story of Hamlet, but they're lions. You instead have things where it's like, here are all of these moving pieces, but we're setting up the board slightly differently, and now we're going to play it through. And this results in a wildly different story, and some of the pieces don't look exactly alike, but there's so much more freedom to play with the inspiration, I think.
Yeah, because I even said in the beginning, like, there's a reason this is not a Shakespeare play I really revisited very much, even though it has so many elements that should be like catnip for me, and it's just because it doesn't live up to its full potential. So, and Sam has said about Taming of the Shrew even, it's just like, flawed works are almost more fun to play with.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why I really liked this take on it, because again, one of the aspects that I really like that I wish had been done better in The Tempest is this whole idea of a young woman discovering her parent is a lot darker and more flawed than she initially found, and finding out that she's kind of been a tool of it. That's something that's popped up in a lot of my writing. It's something I like seeing in media. There's a reason why daughter of the serial killer is one of my favorite tropes. You have a wizard who should be doing more wizardy revenge things. Come on. I attached myself so much to Soletta because A, she kind of is the perfect conclusion to, okay, what would having a parent like this do to somebody, especially if you have been this sheltered, and also just made her so very neurodivergent coded and unable to talk to the pretty girl she likes like a normal person. Mm-hmm. And I am really glad that they took some of the cool pieces from this play and then very much made it their own. Final thoughts?
It's a great show and everybody should watch it.
Yes. Come for the lesbians, stay for
the existential dread.
Who's got stuff to plug?
Find me on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, Medium at LSR42, and you can find me on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos. I post about Witcher Mercury there a distressing amount. And I am, of course, the host of The Biggest Night in Podcasting, where we discuss Oscar-winning movies. I've actually got a great episode in the recent past with both Jasmine and Addie about Toy Story 4, if you want to hear me and Addie flirt some more. And Jasmine's is on an episode upcoming about Fame. It might actually be up by the time this episode goes up. I'm not sure of timing.
Editor Jasmine here. It is indeed up by this point.
Check that out on both YouTube and Spotify. Biggest Night in Podcasting.
And I am Addie GS. I'm also pigsflu.com is my website and my handle on Blue Sky. And as always, I'm a regular on Feumbria's ongoing Pathfinder game in their custom setting of Ilumir on Twitch. And I'm a regular on IER and 6 Degrees of Star Wars. And there's maybe some fun coming there soon, very, very soon, with their 50th episode.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's me.
And for the hero's call to action this week, chances are by now you've heard about all the floods that have been happening in Central Texas. There is a GoFundMe link in the show notes below. If you can, please consider donating. GoFundMe will be providing direct support for victims of the flood and their families. As for me, you can find me at Faye Riviera on all the socials, and you can follow this show on both Twitter and Blue Sky at IAR Podcast. If you'd like to help us reach the next chapter of our story, please consider donating to our Patreon, Ko-Fi, or the support the show link below. Or if you don't have any room in your wallets, because who can blame you these days, please still consider rating and reviewing us on the podcatcher of your choice, and spread the word about us on social media or just among your friends. And speaking of the next chapter of our story, all right, the Witch from Mercury episode is now in the can. Our first proper foray into space. Bet you're excited about that, right, Ire?
Indeed, host Jasmine. I've been reading up on all sorts of aliens to prepare for the Star Trek episode.
Shh, no spoilers, buddy. But I definitely want to get you more involved with our future space-themed episodes. It only seems fair. Man, between The Witch from Mercury and Forbidden Planet, seems like there's just something that hits with The Tempest in space.
It is not exclusively Shakespeare. There are many interstellar takes on stories in the public domain.
You are absolutely right. You've got John Carter of Mars, Flash Gordon, all the Lost in Space adaptations. Heck, Jules Verne and H.G. Wells made it their whole bread and butter.
There is another Disney classic that you're missing.
Right, of course. How could I forget Treasure Planet? I guess because I haven't seen it yet, but that could be changed pretty easily. That gives me an idea. Dear listeners, our upcoming episodes are going to be cosmic, literally. Stay tuned for IER in Space!
You have been wanting to say that for a while now, haven't you?
Maybe. Oh, come on, you can't blame a Fae, can you? What do you say to a new theme month? I mean, yeah, I know it's already July, but I mean, time is meaningless, and... buddy? Why is your panel glowing again?
It seems you said the code for unlocking what Count Orlok left for you. It started counting down.
Oh, no. Abort mission. Why didn't you leave us with instructions? Ire, can you shut it down?
Negatory. Strap yourself in, House Jasmine.
Oh, boy. Okay, that's new. Okay, seriously, why on earth is Orlok sending us to space in the first place? I didn't sign up for this. What does he want us to do? Meet space vampires or something? Does he even know about aliens? Another note? What? I want to believe. Son of a bitch.
T-minus 6, 5, 4.
Oh, God. Orlok, when I catch you! Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and what strength I have is mine own, which is most faint. Now 'tis true I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands, with the help of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults. As you from crimes would pardoned be, let your indulgence set me free.